So thank you very much for being here. This is the Q&A of Yakushima's Illusion. I'm very happy to have here on the couch with me the producer, Jean-Luc Cormier. The protagonist, Vicky Krieps. And of course, the director, Naomi Kawase. So first of all, thank you very much for this film. I think we are all very touched. And there's many things in the film that are worth discussing. I'm sure the audience has a lot of questions. It's a film that goes from the specificities of the body to the complexity of the soul of life. So it's also, complicated to start from a question, but I will try with the first one. Really starting from the title, Yakushima, this island, this place, which apparently has this rich symbolism connected to it. Can you explain why you decided to focus on this specific place?
常々私は映画において自然を描くことが、多く、そしてその自然がもう一つの主人公のように、存在しています。特に屋久島という島は、1000年以上の杉があって、一番長く生きていると言われているのは7000年を生きているというふうに言われています。でも、自然も、神様のように存在してはいますが、人間の行い次第では神も死んでしまうというふうには思っていて、その人間と自然の共存のようなものを描く意味ではずいぶん前からこの島にフォーカスをしていて、ファイナリーようやくたどり着くことができました。
Yes, I have to say that often I portray nature in many of my movies. Actually, I might say that nature becomes a protagonist as well as the others. And one thing about Yakushima, about this island, is that it has among the oldest trees in Japan. It is said that some of the Japanese cedars that you can find there are older than 1,000 years. Some of them reach the age of 7,000 years. So perhaps there you can also feel the presence of gods. But depending on how human beings act, also gods might somehow disappear. And so I thought that it was very important to focus on this very place just in order to speak about coexistence. And finally, I had the chance to do this.
And my next question is for Vicky. The film talks about some very Japanese topics, the cultural taboo surrounding organ transplants, this phenomenon of people missing. I wanted to know whether you were aware of these aspects before shooting the film, or how did you research this? How did you plunge into Japanese culture with the help of Naomi?
I was very much like Cory and sometimes lost, and I didn't understand what was happening around me. And that was not only a language barrier, it was also being confronted with a culture so complex and ancient, and at the same time very strict, structured and violent towards its own citizens, that I was overwhelmed with what I was feeling. I really didn't understand what I saw between the ancient forests of Yakushima. Yakushima is something that I didn't know of, but let's say it's maybe the closest of what my understanding of Japan might have been, reading haikus or watching movies, the connection to nature that sometimes can be more important or as important as the connection to human beings and life and death coexisting, much closer than we in the West, perceive things. So what I found in Yakushima was maybe what I expected, but with a much bigger force. I didn't know of this incredible forest that's so loud. It's louder than any club in Berlin. It's louder than anything you've ever heard. It's just so powerful. You cannot think, you cannot sleep. And so there I was also surprised, but at least it was closer. But then moving to the city, I became sad because I didn't know why the people were sometimes isolated, they seemed to be. And I couldn't connect, because I don't have the cultural information. Even if I had it, I think in Japan, certain things remained closed, which leads to the people disappearing, which is something I didn't know of. But when I was there, understanding how hard these borders are and the walls that are in society, for someone to not fit in can lead to so much guilt and shame. They feel like they have to remove themselves rather than put that shame on their family. So I understood about Japan through Naomi's script first, then Naomi showing me firsthand, and she really let me discover on my own without a guidebook. I was just sent off into the into the nature. And thirdly, just by bumping myself into these walls all the time, because I'm the opposite. When I was a child, I never did what I was told to do, ever. So you can imagine I was very much the whole time trying to make a joke. Oh no, that was wrong. Trying to be close to someone. Oh no, that was wrong. So it's a whole different world, really, that I didn't know.
Thank you. And I also have a question for the producer, Jean-Luc. So this film really works as a bridge between many things, as we said, the body and the soul, the nature and the artificial landscape of the hospital, but it's also a bridge between Japan and Europe. So I'd love to hear from the perspective of the producer, how was the experience of building really this cultural bridge through cinema?
This cultural bridge actually derives from the wish of one of the partner of the company, David Gautier, who's been traveling extensively to Japan, who's wanted to meet with Japanese director. And this is something that, we are living through a very difficult moment in the world right now. Things are quite scary sometimes. And I have the feeling that by doing something like that, by teaming, by working with Naomi and Vicky this way, I think we're kind of contributing to some sort of uniting people, even though we're dealing with situations which are really different, And the way it's presented in the film is actually incredibly enlightening. I personally didn't know anything about those differences before I read Naomi's screenplay. We were there was something that we always wanted to support this. The fact that we, Europeans, could contribute to a film which is so genuinely Naomi's.
Not work? Okay. If there's any question from the audience, I'm very happy to give you a mic, so just raise your hand. Don't be shy. One here, second row. Try again.
Hi. So I have two questions. One is about the kids. So I would like to know if there were like only actors, or some of them, at least I guess one of them, were real patients of the hospital. And in the first case, so if they are all actors, how did you manage to let them act like this? Because I think it's impressive the way they were working in the film. The second question is about the operation, like the last part of the film. Is it really like partially real, or is it like made up for the movie?
まず最初の質問ですけれども、子供はすべて俳優です。ただ、彼らは本当に心臓移植を待っている子供とのコミュニケーションを取ったり、そして病院でまるで入院しているかのような時間をあらかじめ過ごしてから撮影に入りました。なので、彼らのその、エモーション、心の中に起こってくるものというのは本当にリアルでした。本当に、久しくんはひとみちゃんに恋をしていたし、ひとみちゃんがいなくなった時に本当の涙を流していたし、彼の言葉、セリフの中には脚本にないものもたくさんあります。そういう意味では俳優でありながらこれまで、セリフのある、芝居をやったことのない人でした。ですから素人とも言えるかもしれません。で、2つ目の質問ですけれども、例えばお医者さんとかカンファレンスのシーンは本当の、医者であり、政治家であり、ジャーナリストであり、日本を取り巻く、心臓移植に関して、特に小児のそれに関して、常にさまざまな問題を課題を解決しようとしている人たちでした。ですからこの映画がなければこのような立場の人たちは集って話すことは今の日本には全くありませんでした。この記録ともいえる部分はこの映画の公開にあたって非常に力を持って皆さんに真実を伝えることになると思っています。特に最後の手術シーンは実は私たちのスタッフ、それから、俳優、そして本当の医者が混じり合ってシーンを撮っています。主人公、久志君が本当に、手術を受けてるんですけれども、麻酔を効かしてるんじゃなくて彼は本当に眠っていて奇跡のような時間でした。どんなに、触っても彼は起きなくて、でその間私たちの撮影は進んでいきました。で、いくつかはシーンの中の、作った映画のために作ったシーンですし、いくつかは本当の手術の部分を、編集しています。
So I will first reply to the first question. The children were all actors. They were all actors, but in order to have them be as emotional as I wanted them to be, in order to have them feel real emotion, I actually had them spend time with the other kids that were actually patients waiting for organ transplant. And also I had some time for them in order to spend some time within the space of the hospital we were using. So that way, able to get into the state of emotions that I wanted them to be. For instance, we have Hisashi and Hitomi, and that was really falling in love with Hitomi. And Hisashi also, when Hitomi passed away, used sentences that were not in the script. So he was so emotional in that moment. So some way we can say that there were actors, but since it was like the first times they were actually having some lines to be able to act with, we might say that they were at the beginning of their careers. About the second question, there is the conference scene, and you can see that there are some doctors it was actual real doctors, real politicians, real journalists that at the moment are dealing with the topic of pediatric organ transplant in Japan, and they are trying to do their best in order to resolve these issues. And thanks to these movies, they had the possibility to meet up and actually have a conversation about this. So all that you can see here is just a record of what we were able to do by giving them the chance to speak freely the one with the other. Otherwise, they would not have this kind of chance coming from all different sectors. And so also the final scene, the one with the operation, we had people from our staff, we had actual doctors, we had our cast, and also the kid that was sleeping was actually Hisashi. And miraculously, he was actually sleeping. And we would do, move him around, but still he would not wake up, and it was like a miracle. And so, again, what I can sum up saying is that you can see that some of the scenes of the surgery were made up by ourselves, but other parts were actually taken from real surgeries.
Any other questions? Thank you. Please. Any other question? There.
Thank you so much. I'm honestly absolutely very nervous to speak now because heartfelt thanks. I wrote some notes for presenting this incomparable, deeply humanistic work. I am deeply moved, and in many different perspectives, the excellent acting of Vicky Krieps, and the incredible warmth of Hisashi, and the strong mothers in your movie. I hope and I wish that Yakushima's Illusion will be nominated for Japan's Oscar race. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other comment or question? Yeah.
Great movie, I would say. I wanted to say marvelous, but it's difficult to say marvelous movie. But it's so touching. Great movie. I was wondering about what's his name, Jan, who disappeared. So many people disappearing in Japan. That's something I've never heard, and I'm just wondering if you can say something more about that. What is happening to those people? Do we know anything? That's my question. Thank you.
はい、年間8万人から10万人の人が、失踪しています。これは欧米諸国からすると非常に、驚くべき事実です。そしてこういった人たちが、例えば、聞いた、調査した上で、知ったことですけど、例えばアメリカの場合はほとんどが若年層の家で、自分がそこの文化の中から逸脱してしまったという、心情を持った人たちが消えてしまいます。そして、おそらく欧米諸国では ID というものが存在しているんですが、日本の場合はまだそれが存在していると言えない。つまり、別の地域で、姿を、隠してまた名前を変えて、生きていくことができる社会なんですね。例えば、村合いの、あまり人口の少ない、場所でどこかから来た人が暮らしていてもあまり人は気にしない、そしてその人が、そんなに凶悪な感じでなければなおさらそこで生きていけるという社会なんですね。でみんながこう ID でつながってどこで生きてても何をしても分かってしまうような文化ではなくて、隠してしまえる文化、 なんですね。それを日本では実は蒸発と言います。エバポレーションで神隠し、神様が隠してくれる。なんかこういう言い方こそが日本の文化なんじゃないかなというふうに思っています。
Yes, you have to know that annually in Japan, from 80,000 to 100,000 people disappear. And I realize that this information is very surprising to people from Europe or America. But after I made my researches, what I found out is that in America, often the people that are disappearing are youngsters, are the young generation. And they also tend to come back home after a certain time. While in Japan, it's usually middle-aged people, middle-aged men, middle-aged women. And the thing is that they are in an age range where, of course, they should be well accepted in society. Nevertheless, they often disappear because of this culture of shame. So when somehow they deviate from the, let's say, mainstream culture, they feel this shame. And that is the reason why then they get into a state of mind that makes them decide that they have to disappear. And also, there is another big difference. In Europe, in the United States, you have the ID, identity card, identification system. And so people are connected. While in Japan, you don't have such a thing. So if in Japan you just want to hide your life and go to a different part of the country and spend there some time without saying who you were, you can change your name. And especially if you go to a small town, a village, there people will not get too nosy about who is living there. So unless you are a very scary person, you can just go on living your life without anyone knowing who you were before. While, so we don't have a culture like in Europe or United States where everyone is perfectly connected by an ID system, identification system. So this is why also in Japan, for these people, we use the term johatsu, which means evaporating, blazing, or also kamikakushi, that means that they were hidden by the gods. And there is, yes, these are all parts that are peculiar to the Japanese culture.
Question? Comment? Is there one? Sorry.
No, so I wanted to say I really enjoyed the movie, and so I was born in Japan and raised in Japan, lived there most of my life until I was 20. So I really could feel Corey's feelings, but also the other roles. And yeah, my comment is just that I hope that this movie is going to go around and that many people can see it and yeah, understand the Japanese mentality and the in-between of humanity at the same time with all this feeling of responsibility and this duality between these things. So I'm very happy I saw it and I was very touched. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Any other question or comment? Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm also very much moved by the pictures and by the film. A medical doctor, and I really enjoyed what you did. It's a great work. Thank you very much. What I wanted to know is, can you say something about your motivation? Why you choose somebody coming from outside of Japan, from Europe, to be the main actor in that story? What is the concept, or what is your deeper motivation of that?
日本は日本の中だけでの常識が強く深くあって、それを外からの目を通してでないと、その価値観みたいなものを理解できないですね。つまり主人公がその日本の常識の壁にぶち当たりながら苦悩するということを通して、日本の人たちにも、今の現状を、変化させる可能性を知ってほしかったです。先進国の中で、どうしてこんなに臓器移植が ドナーが現れずに待機している人たちがいるのだろうか、そのことに、心を沿わせる、そういうふうにチェンジしてほしいっていうふうに私はイエスかノーかを言っているのではなくて、もう一つの価値観みたいなものを知るっていうことがとても大事なんですね。どうしても私たちの国は一つの価値観の中でそれから逸脱した人たちを排除してしまう文化があります。でも、この時代2025年において、諸外国の価値観も受け入れながら私たちがあらゆるものをチョイスできるんだというそういう感覚を持ってもらうことはとても大事なことなんじゃないかなというふうに思ってます。
In Japan, we have just one common sense, which is the Japanese common sense. So it was necessary, I would say, to have fresh eyes coming from abroad in order to make people understand what's actually happening in Japan. So I would need somebody coming from abroad somehow bumping against the walls of this Japanese common sense. And I would need this protagonist, have a hard time, because then that protagonist is the very person that perhaps might bring some change in Japan. And so often I happen to think about how Japan is a developed country. Still, the number of donors when it comes to transplant is very low compared to other developed countries. And so when I thought about that, I thought also that it was necessary to have somebody that would actually make everybody change their mind. So this is not a movie that says yes or no about the stance that Japan is having. It's just trying to provide a different, an alternate value. Because at the moment in Japan, we have just one value. And the moment you deviate from that value, somehow you are removed from society. While now, I think that we are living in a time where we can take the good opportunities coming from abroad and then make those opportunities ours and learn and so improve.
I just wanted to ask about this shame aspect of this lover, of this young man who is a photographer, but is surviving by cutting heads of fishes. And so when this Hasselblad camera is broken, he could even ask for a help for the lady of his heart. Can we fix it somehow, no? So my question is, is it not usable, is it not used to ask for help in Japan? Is this also a part of the shame system?
あります。カンファレンスの中で一人の彼女は小児科医でもあり政治家でもあるんですけれども、言っていた言葉の通り、人に迷惑をかけないでいましょうというのが小さな頃から言われている常識ですね。自分のことは自分でする、誰かに頼らない、それが迷惑をかけないということになってしまっています。恥に近いですね。
Yes, this is part of the shame culture. So if you remember the scene of the conference, actually one of the person that is speaking is both a pediatrician and also the politician. And there is this word, she says, we are not supposed to somehow inconvenience the others. And so this is something that we are taught from a very small age. So when we are children, we are said that we have to deal with our stuff by ourselves. We do not have to, depend on other people. And so this makes very difficult for some of us, to ask for help.
マイクが欲しいみたいです。
I think that the gentleman there wants the mic again.
I'd like to continue my question. Is it also takes it part of the couple system? So
of the
the relation. So if he would have asked for help to the doctor from France, this would also change their relation. That she was more powerful, and he didn't. This is also takes part of the system of the social classes and of the image of relation that a man does not struggle, does not ask for help. His wife, his love.
その部分もあると思うんですけれども、男性が女性にっていう部分はあると思うんですけど、特にジンの場合はもうすでに自分の実家の父と母に迷惑をかけている。そして生まれてきた本当の子供である弟の幸せのために自分は失踪する。自分の母親が自分を産んだ時に死んでしまったということも自分自身を責める状況になってしまっているということですね。なので、彼女に対してとか本当にパートナーに対して、弱みを見せるということ以上にもうすでに彼は自分が恥を抱えながら生きているというふうに、実家のその特に田舎の町では思わされて、生きてきた。なので彼が失踪したのは生まれた日なんですよね。もう一度生まれ直したい。そして、屋久島の自然の中で生きていた。でもその時にコリーに出会って、コリーはおそらくそんな自分を分かってくれるだろう。で日本のもう一つの、特徴、日本人の特徴は全て言わなくても分かってもらえる。全て言わなくてもあなたのことはおもんばかって理解しているという、そういう文化もあります。なので言わなくても分かるはずだろうっていう。で僕はやっぱりこの場所でも、あなたに迷惑をかけたかもしれないなっていう、そういう気持ちもあったかもしれないです。
So, yes, there might be the fact that is a man trying to ask to a woman, but it's not just it. Jin has already somehow felt this sense of inconveniencing the others because he felt that he had inconvenienced his own family. And also, he wanted to somehow leave that family so that the real his little brother that was actually a child of the couple so that he could be happy. And so this is the reason why he decided to just disappear, to remove this inconvenience that was somehow blocking the happiness of that family and his small brother. And also he felt somehow guilty for the fact that his actual mother died at childbirth. So he was actually thinking that he was responsible for that. And so because of this, of course, the fact of not showing your weakness to the person you are spending time with, that was also another important point, because he had lived his whole life just perceiving this sense of shame. And also because this sense of shame was instilled in him while he was living in that small town and surrounded by perhaps all the people of the town itself. So at that moment, then he decided to disappear, and he thought it was the moment to start over, to have a new life. And this is how he ended up in Yakushima. And then there he met Kori. And he thought that perhaps that was a meaning to it. And also the Japanese often, they tend not to say everything, because there is this common sense that even if I don't say everything, somehow the other person will understand. But again, it's not always the case. And so when he realizes that, he then decides to move from the house with her house, because he realized that perhaps also there he was becoming an inconvenience to her. And in the day he decided to disappear was the day of his birthday. That also was important.
I think we have time for one last question. Oh, we have two. Okay, maybe we can make it.
I wondered, you tell us in your movie two very touching stories. Why didn't you make two touching films with that?
この全く違うトピックを一つにまとめていることが私の映画です。
My movies are always about linking together two stories that have nothing to do one with the other.
Actually, I've got a question to the actress, because we know now that all the children were acting, but the movie was so touching anyway for me. How did you feel by making this movie? Because you knew you had children, they were acting.
How did I feel about the children being actors? Or
No, how did you feel, as an actor, as an actress?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you how I'm feeling now after the movie.
How I felt about seeing the children.
By doing that.
Yeah. To me, everything felt very real. Because, when we are children, I think we are still closer to the truth. And these children didn't have to do much to be real. And they understood very well what this is about. I think kids understand maybe better than us what life and death is and how happy we can be to be alive. I had seen in the hospital a lot of children that were real patients. I had seen little babies, a lot of them attached to machines. So one was not far from the other, really, and the kids were always in there. What I can say is I'm extremely grateful to spend this time with the children. They were beautiful and amazing, and I mean, you've seen it. They were just... I was just so happy to be talking to them. I could have... a lot of it is not in the movie, but each of these children could make you one movie.
ひとみちゃんが亡くなった時に久しくんの、状況を見て、コリーは、ビッキーは翌日撮影に出てこれませんでした。ショッキングで。
And yes, when Hitomi passed away, and when Kori, so Vicky, had the chance to look at how Hisashi was versing in that moment, was just sad. Then Vicky was so struck by that the day after she couldn't come to the set.
I remember that.
Even in the scene, I'm looking away because I couldn't look. I just couldn't see it. It was not real, but it just felt so real, and I just felt so, I don't know. It was a lot.
Okay, one quick question, then.
It's not a real question, but I follow you since 25 years. I saw all your movie. This is, I think, is the most mature book. It's a real masterpiece. All your thematic, all your topics, I have concentrated in this film. It's a big synthesis, but nevertheless, we are speaking about content here. I think it has a cinema world here, and one of the protagonists is the nature. How you shot the nature, it's amazing. The powerful, the poetic dimension. How it becomes metaphorically, but it becomes something. It's a protagonist, like the other people, and this is a real strong, powerful. You have this ability. Nature for you, it's each time was important in your film, but here you depass yourself. You're a virtuous filmmaker shooting nature. Naomi, thank you.
の作品は8年ぶりのオリジナルの脚本です。
So this movie is the first original screenplay after 8 years.
この作品がこの世に誕生するまでに本当にたくさんの壁、苦悩がありました。でもあなたが言うように屋久島の自然そのものをdestroy、潰すような台風がある日やってくるという予報があって、あの時の風は本当にリアルで、波も、私はそのニュースを聞いてすぐに屋久島に飛びました。そして本当に命の危険を感じるぐらいの風、この多分10年以上の中で一番大きな台風がやってきて、そして屋久島の何千年か生きた木も風で倒れてしまいました。私たちの暮らす地球が本当に、自然の災害がすごく増えていると思っています。こんな風が起こらないところに起こったり、こんな、気温が上がってしまったり、さまざまなメッセージが私は人間にもたらされているんじゃないかなと思っていて、特にその屋久島というものが持っている日本列島の沖縄から北海道まで全てのその植物がこの屋久島だけに存在しているんです。でこういう神の島が、大きな台風で何千年の木が倒れてしまうというメッセージを私が撮影中に経験しました。なので私自身の、自分を超えていくような作品ともし評価されていることが真実であれば、私はおそらくこれをこの時代に撮るべくして撮り、そして誕生させるべくして誕生させられた何かの力によってだと思っています。
So, yes, the thing is that since this was started, as I said, it was born after such a number of complexities and walls I had to go against and many difficulties. But after all, the nature in Yakushima was somehow able to destroy everything in terms of my of these difficulties that I had. But it's also true something else. There was this huge typhoon that actually reached Japan. And so you can see in some of the scenes that there were the waves and wind. That is all completely real. And I remember that when I got that piece of information of this huge typhoon in Yakushima, I decided to go there. And actually, I felt that my life was in danger for how strong this typhoon was. They said it was the strongest typhoon in over 10 years. And some of these millennial trees that just went down because of this of these strong winds. And so this made me think about how now in our world we have so many natural disasters. They're increasing in number day by day. We have strong winds where they're not supposed to be blowing. Then we have other events, like we have also the temperature that is going up and up. So this is also creating this situation. And I think that this is something that this is a message that the world is giving us. And so within all this, I could feel that in Yakushima, you have all the possible nature that you can actually see throughout Japan, going from Okinawa to Hokkaido. All nature is just somehow condensed there. But again, as I was saying, there was this strong destruction. And so I just realized that perhaps this was just the perfect moment to create this movie. So if, as earlier on you said, this was a work, this is a movie where I surpassed myself, this is just thanks to a stronger power that gave me the possibility to make to give me the possibility to create this movie exactly in this time, in this moment of existence.
I'm afraid our time is over, but I really want to thank Naomi, Vicky, Jean-Luc for being here with us with your incredible film. It's been an honor. I'm sure it's not.